Hi everybody, this is Seth from Comingouttarot. If you've come here to find out a little bit more about me and watch my hair stand up, you've come to the right place. Thanks for being here. I'm just going to put this hat on so I don't stare at it because it's going to drive me nuts. Thanks for being here. I just want to share a little bit about some things that I'm thinking about as we get into 2019. There's a lot that has been shifting and changing for me, and I want to make sure that you all know that that journey is happening, because I hope that in sharing that, you also might recognize some of what I'm going through and some of what you might be going through. So that's part of the effort behind all of this. But to get started, what I've learned is that there's been a lot of symbol signs, things changing throughout 2018. And that's led me to understand, it's led me to know that I'm on this journey into this unknown me, this thing that I have either repressed, not let out, something, and it's coming to a head, and it's coming to a head for a lot of different reasons. So, just first off, the goal is that I'm working through understanding what barriers I've built for myself. I'm working through what kind of internalized homophobia I might still have in my 43-year-old already gay body. What am I holding on to? I need to let go of, and what are those fears that hold me back from being the best that I can be? Because how can I release all of that and bring my best self forward in 2019 and beyond? Because I want to be the best version of me that I can be, so I can be as helpful as I can be to everyone who comes to me for help. It's kind of like putting that message of putting the gas mask on yourself, the gas mask, the oxygen mask, same thing on yourself until you put it on someone else. So the thing that made me start realizing that there was more to this was several things that I'm going to share more about, including, hey Tom, including some stuff about 5/8, constantly seeing the number 5/8, about opportunities that came in front of me and when I chose to say yes. So I'm going to talk a little bit about those and share that with you. So I think there are moments in our, not moments, I think there are movements in our lives that create moments. And I'm going through a movement now. It's a lot like a current, it's a lot like a stream. It's just kind of, this movement is happening. And the question is, do you jump on that current or do you resist it and go upstream? Or do you just not even get in the current at all? And for the better part of 2018, I think I've been riding the current, but more like standing in it. I shouldn't say riding. It was more like I was standing in it. The water was going around me, and it created a lot of resistance, even though there were messages coming through. And eventually, it got me to a point of acceptance. So I'm finally in this acceptance place, and this journey's been like, hey, Catherine, this journey's been super frustrating. It continues to be frustrating and challenging, and it's actually downright like stubborn. And I appreciate that, because as someone who is that, as someone who is um, this Taurus sun, this Aries moon, this Leo rising, I'm a pretty like, no, and I know what I'm doing, don't tell me what to do kind of guy. And to have, the powers that be, the energy that exists trying to tell me, hey, there's something you need to pay attention to, I need to be slapped across the face a couple times. Well, in this instance, it actually took me almost an entire year. So, right? um, it's really hard for messages to get through to me because I feel like I have everything I need. And I like to assume I have everything I need. And I like to believe that I don't need the help of other people. I got this, but you better damn well acknowledge that I did it, kind of thing. So last week, I did say yes to this moment, this thing that happened. So it's just like all that current that's going around me, that water. I dipped my oar into that water and I started riding that current and going with it. And suddenly I was in the movement. I was in it. I was aware that I was in this movement, and this bull had undug his heels, lifted his horns up, so there wasn't any like barrier to any information coming through. And I think that the reason that happens is not only because of the signs that exist, but the emotional roller coaster that comes with being open to whatever is going to come next is a lot, and it's heavy, and it's hard to go through. And why would I want to go through that? Why would anyone want to go through that? Well, I just opened myself up to it, and it's causing a lot of stuff to happen. Um, and I want to share some of that. So going back to January, like if I go back a little bit, like a year, a little bit. Some of you have seen this on my Instagram. I've talked about it on Periscope. I keep seeing 5-8, 5-8, 5-8 over and over and over and over again. I'll be in the middle of my workout and I'll pick up my phone and it'll say 5:08 on the clock. I'll be getting home from work and I'm walking down the sidewalk or coming in the door. I'll look at my phone and look at the time and it says 5:08. So I'm looking at the clock, constantly seeing 5:08. Similarly, I'll be looking at my phone and I'll be looking at some stats on something like video watch time or the length of a video, and those things will say 5:08, so 5 minutes and 8 seconds. Average watch time, 5 minutes and 8 seconds. I'll see 5:08 on the odometer or speedometer. I'll see 5:08 on signs. My birthday is May 8th. So I was constantly seeing 5-8 repeated in multiple places, twice a day on the clock, seen it on video times, seen it on run times, um, and the fact that it was my birthday certainly didn't escape me. But my brain was trying to make sense of it. I was trying to understand, why is this 5-8 here? Why is this 5-8 here? Um, and what's the message I'm trying to get? And so what I would do. Yeah, this has been all freaking year because I wasn't listening. I had dug in my heels. I had lowered those horns. I was like, no, I know what's going on. I'll pay attention and I'll tell you, universe, what I think this is. So I started digging into what the 5 meant to me, what the 8 meant to me, what the quintessence of those numbers 13 meant to me, the quintessence of 13, 4, what that meant to me. So I went through 5s, 8s, 13, 4s, and besides all those numbers concerns, even more, I've been experiencing those numbers in connection to other people and events in my life. So for example, I've shared this with some of you before. I met a reader. I hadn't had a tarot reader for over 20 years. First one I had was incredible when I left Oregon. I didn't find one right away, and I just waited until I found the right one, and that was actually recently. So I haven't had a tarot reader of my own for like 20 years. And when I found this guy, it just so happened that he also shares my birthday. Different years, but we have the same birthday, May 8th. So and it happened this year. So we had met each other before, but the decision to work with him happened this year in 5-8. So all of those numbers are a freaking yes, I get it. There's something going on, but I didn't know what to do with it and what I didn't expect. But the messages were actually preparing me for what was going to happen. The need to reach out and create a structure of my peers being a part of those numbers was greater than I could imagine. And while I didn't do my best at that, and I kind of found that out at the end, I'm hearing the message now, and I'm using as much strength as I can in order to get out of my comfort zone. And that's part of that 5-8 message, was building this like group of guides and mentors so that I could like be where I needed to be. But it takes a lot for me to do that. So the strength, the internal strength to do that is something that I'm also learning I need to draw on. Because ultimately there was resistance. I kept resisting. And I think change has a direct correlation to the moments in our lives that are a part of that movement that I was talking about earlier, that movement being that stream. So resisting change um, is and is not part of our fool's journey. If I think about the fool in the tarot deck and the journey that the fool's on, I mean, without tarot, you're just a fool that's resistant to change. Because for me, tarot is about um, addressing a point of change in your life. And without tarot, you're the fool, just resisting, 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 which is what I was doing. It's where I was. I was like, nope, not going to do it. I'm just going to wait to understand instead of being open to what was happening. Um, and even stronger than the fool. Well, come back. So we've come back to tarot. The fool is ready to take the leap. So if you're a fool for not paying attention, you should be a fool for trying. And that's part of what the fool teaches us in tarot is just go out, do it, try it, see what happens. The worst you can do is fall on your face and get back up. And there's probably someone who's going to pull you back anyway, someone who has faith and trust in your friendship and your partnership, who will be like, hey, wait a minute, don't do that. And and when I think about those, like those numbers together, 5 and 8, gets me to 13. So Hierophant, 8 is strength. Together they're 13, which is death, and 1 and 3 is 4, which is the emperor. So death requires transformation. It is the ultimate transformation. You are leaving one body in order to go to the next stage of whatever that is. And I think when you get so intent on looking for the transformation that you are meant to take, you miss the path that's in front of you. And I very much was so intent on what's that transformation? Why is 5-8 there? What does that mean to me? How do I intellectually think about this? And I kept seeing 5-8, 5-8, 5-8, 5-8, 5-8, 5-8, 5-8. The numbers kept appearing. I was looking for that transformation message. And why wouldn't they show me what the journey was into this unknown thing? Why wouldn't the numbers show me? I was trying to force the numbers to do something other than what they were meant to do, just like I do with any kind of math, because I struggle with with math and coming up with the right solution. I know numbers only do what numbers are meant to do, but somehow they never always do what I want them to do. So I was working the numbers. I was rearranging the numbers. I pulled the cards and like related to the 5 and the 8 and the 13 and the 4, like I just said, the Hierophant, Strength, Death, and the Emperor, and I studied them. And I looked at them in other decks, and yeah, I wanted them to tell me what I needed to know, and they wouldn't tell me, at least so it seemed. And in retrospect, if I just allowed those numbers to work with me like other symbols do, so if any of you have seen me do readings before, you'll see me talk about symbols that appear, and I work out what they mean, or they're symbols for someone else. In this case, 5-8 was constant for me. It was a symbol that was meant for me. If I just worked for them like I do with other symbols, I would have been better off. And I think what I would have seen is that those days where the numbers were present, like when I saw them in the morning or I saw them at night, those were transformative days in some way. Those were the days when those numbers had a message. Like maybe I needed to rely on my personal strength to get through that day. And that was a lesson I could have used throughout the entire year. Maybe I needed to find those that support system of mentorship guidance, like the Hierophant, for that day or that week in order to know how to use that better throughout the year. Maybe I needed to be prepared for significant transition, which has been a theme all year, in a way that allowed me to be available. And I wasn't being available, I was more resisting. So I was so stuck in the fact that something was coming that I was on this journey into the unknown, that I wanted to know that I was in the process, instead of being in the moment of what was going on. And it felt like there was nothing coming, but the movement was in play. The movement was happening. The stream was going on around me, but I was missing all those moments. So I lost like an entire year, but the numbers kept coming. It was like, you need to hear this. You need to pay attention to this. You need this message. You need to open the up. Stop resisting. Get those horns up in the air. Get your heels out of the ground and open up for a minute. And I remember when this happened, like when it actually happened. So I was finally ready to hear. I was finally ready to pay attention. And this happened at a moment when I was ready to say yes. So what does that mean? I had this dream about someone at work. And I don't dream about work ever. Like it's so rare that I ever dream about work. It's my day job. And I had this dream about this guy at work. And he was being pretty forceful in the dream, and it was unexpected. And I also don't work with him, so it was also weird. I enjoy his company. He's funny. We have some great conversations about bettering our industry, diversity, culture. But I didn't know why he was there, and I just let the dream go. Didn't say anything to him. And then a couple of days later, I was in a meeting with my boss and some other leaders in the organization, and he mentioned this gentleman in my dream. Said that he was part of a board meeting, a subcommittee of our board meeting, and they talked about some stuff in our office. And so I stopped by his desk. He happened to be at his desk, and I was walking by, and I said, "Hey, how did the meeting go? I thought you were representing one thing, but I hear you were representing another." And he said, which led us into a very long conversation about what the expectations are in our organization, what diversity is, and ultimately led to me talking about how I was going through my own personal journey of I don't know who I am anymore, and what does it mean to think about blocks and barriers, and opening yourself up and being ready to open yourself up, and I don't know what to do or where to go or where to start. And he said to me very directly, he said, "Do you want to go to this thing called Motivations, the CARA program?" And he used to work at CARA. CARA is an organization in Chicago that helps individuals who have barriers to employment get employment. And they do this thing in the morning called Morning Motivations. And it takes everyone, no matter where you're from, no matter what barriers are in front of you, if you're sleeping in your car, if you're coming from domestic violence, if you have been in a hotel all night and you need to go on a job interview today, or you need to get a job, you all come to this one place in the morning, 8:30 in the morning on the dot, and you get in a circle, and there's a question for the day. And our question was, what motivates you? And if you're tapped, you go into the circle, and there's certain things that you say, and while you're saying them, like introducing yourself, for example, "Hi, for those of you who don't know me, my name is Seth," and everybody goes, "Hey, Seth," and then there's something in between, but then they point at you and they go, "That's my friend." It's a bunch of people pointing and shouting at you that you're their friend, and you may or may not know. I didn't know any of these people. And then I get ready to tell my story about what motivates me, and they all sit down. If any of you have ever seen the Ellen DeGeneres Game of Games show, she is on this pedestal at one point, and it spins and goes like this, and it stands up. That's what it feels like when everybody sits down. It's like this vortex of you being lifted. And these people just shouted that you're their friend, and they're ready to hear you. I mean, they're truly engaged in what you have to say. And it feels very empowering, and it's an emotionally overwhelming experience. So he asked me if I wanted to go do this thing, and there's more to it than that. I'll show more about that another time. But he asked me if I wanted to go to this, and I knew a little bit about what it was, kind of like what I just shared. But there's even scarier parts to it. Um, and working at the job that I work at for the last 15 years, I've had this opportunity before, and I never took it because it scared the crap out of me. And he said, "Do you want to go do this?" And I said, "Yes." They said, "Oh, good. I'm so glad because tomorrow I'm on vacation and you wouldn't get a chance to do this until 2019 if you even wanted to. But this is really a one-time deal, Seth. So be honest with me. Do you really want to do it?" And I said, "Yes, let's go." Because if I don't say yes now, I'm going to chicken out. So um, he scheduled it and he came in on a vacation day to go support me, excuse me, and do this thing. But it was a lot of synchronicity that lined up. All of these, like meeting the tarot reader, seeing the 5/8, meeting the tarot reader who has the same birthday as me, and finally finding a tarot reader that works with me. Working with the tarot lady for my entrepreneur cast, which, excuse me, which raised a lot of these internal questions that took me further in my journey. Excuse me, being at work on the right day when this guy could say, "Hey, you want to go do this thing? Do you want to change your life today?" Um, the day before he went on vacation, and being open to those opportunities, being in that stream, being in that movement, holding that oar and paddling for all you're worth and going, "Yes, my heels are out, my horns are up, I'm ready to go." So now I know, now I know to stop getting stuck in all those symbols. Just like when I was learning tarot, when you're learning tarot, you get stuck in the symbols. You get stuck in what these things are meant to mean. Well, what do they mean? They have to have a meaning. They have to have one meaning. But they don't. They have so many, and yet they have none. And it's and I've learned to be open to what's coming, or at least I'm able to be open to what's coming, which is a big step for what's about to happen in 2019 and all the things that I think I'm going to try in 2019. So I recognize that it's hard to be open to a journey into the unknown, but it can be motivating. Being open to that change in current in our lives is super scary. But and this is my Pocahontas moment, I know that just around the riverbed, there could be something incredibly amazing. So that's a bit of testimony on where I've been recently. It's high level. I'll get to share some more of that soon. For some reason, my throat just got really dry. I've only been talking for 23 minutes. I don't know why. But it's taken me an entire year to get to this point. If only I'd paid attention sooner, but maybe I wasn't ready. Maybe it wasn't time. Um, Although I think it was. I just think I got stubborn because I'm real good at saying no and thinking I know better. So I need to keep riding that wave, be open, be ready, and be ready for whatever's amazing coming in 2019. And I know there's going to be some degree of authenticity, whatever it is. My goal is to be as authentic as I can. That's always been my goal, but I think there's more. I think there is always more we can do to be as authentic as we can. And there's more for me. I know there is. I just have to be open to what that authenticity can be. So I'm continuing to trust in the five, build that group of mentors, guidance, counselors, extend the network of people in my life, continuing to work through the inner strength it takes to get there because it takes a lot for me to do that. It's not that it's like hard to do, it's nerve-wracking for me. So I'm continuing to work on that. Um, the transformation doesn't stop here. There's more to go. And thanks, Catherine. And all I have to do is be the leader I was meant to be to get there, which means keep driving, keep abreast of what's coming on this little river, so that I can make sure and navigate myself the way I need to go instead of whipping back around and letting the stream catch me. So yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing where it goes. So everybody, thank you for being here, listening. I'll have a little blog post that comes out about this on Monday. You got some extra stuff in this one that won't be in the typed version. And I do hope that in hearing this, it's helpful for somebody else who might need to find their opportunity to open up, their opportunity to be able to see the symbols that are going on around them, the messages that are out there, the steps that might be ready for you that you might normally be like, no, that's not a thing. It probably is really a thing. So pay attention, keep your eyes open, look for those symbols. And I do appreciate you giving me the it's a little person on a boat. I do appreciate you giving me the thumbs up for all of this, and thanks for sticking around and watching. If it's helpful and things occur to you during, after this mills around for a little bit in your brain, come back and leave me a comment. Let me know what you think. Let me know what you thought. Let me know what you're thinking about. I'd love to hear where you are on your journey, so we can talk more about where we're all headed, because I think sharing our stories is a powerful thing. So thanks, everybody. I hope you enjoy the rest of your Sunday, and I'll talk to you all later.